Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So this is the 28th lecture of Introduction to Biochemistry, and the topic is biological significance of peptides and proteins. Talking about the key concepts are the important points that we are going to discuss today in today's lecture. We shall have a look on the biological importance of peptides and proteins basically. So starting from the cellular functions, and then we shall have a look on the structural importance of these proteins, and then we shall see that how enzymes are proteins and their role in the living organism. Then hormones are there, and they are also act as a transport proteins. Then the proteins also have a messenger role for the living organism, like they are used to carry messages from one organelle, or you can say from one part of the cell to another. And then we have antibodies, and then plasma proteins are also there, and they have their own distinct functions. Similarly, proteins in the diet, they are very important for the vital functions of human body. And then there is a lot of important there are a lot of important pharmaceutical. Before going into the details of that how proteins and polypeptides are important to us and how they have important functions in biological systems basically, so we should know that what are proteins and what are polypeptides. Proteins are basically the polymers of small units we know as amino acids. So proteins are the large biological molecule consisting of one or more chains of amino acids. And similarly, polypeptide is a single linear polymer chain of amino acid bonded together by a peptide bond. If you remember the structure of amino acid, if you look here, then amino acid is basically a carbon atom that has 4 different groups attached to it. One of it is hydrogen, the other one is a side chain, and it can vary from one amino acid to another. And the second one is the carboxyl group, and the third one is carboxyl group, and the fourth one is an amino acid, and this one should be COOH, and this one should be NH2 in one amino acid. But when one amino acid react with another amino acid, then there is a condensation reaction here. So we shall have this peptide bond is formed here. So this is how different amino acid, like there is R1 here, this is one amino acid. So different amino acids, they are linked together through these peptide bonds, and they make a single linear polymer chain. We call that polymer chain as amino acids. And when we talk about proteins, then proteins are the macromolecules, and they are even bigger than polypeptides. They have 3-dimensional structure, and in that structure we have long chains of amino acid polypeptides. Alright, starting for the biologically important functions of these proteins. We have a function of these proteins as cellular function, that is their role in the cells. Basically, they have very important function here, that is the structural support. Why we talk about the structural support here? Because if you see that the membranes, they are also formed like plasma membrane. They have their protein channels in there, and they are formed of lipoproteins basically. So they have this important structural role for different cells. And even we have microfilaments there. Basically, microfilaments, they are they are particularly abundant beneath the plasma membrane, and they form a network that provides mechanical support, and also they determine cell shape, and also allow movement of cell surface. Thereby they help the cells to migrate, and also to engulf certain particles, and also to divide. That is the formation of mitotic spindle is also done by these proteins. And these microfilaments are formed of proteins. We know these proteins as actin proteins. And they are also, if we talk about actin filaments, then they are also very important for the cell movements. just as we have discussed in the microfilaments too, that microfilaments are used for are also very helpful in the cell movement, cell shapes, and also to engulf different particles, etc. And then we have intermediate filaments. These filaments are also protein in nature, and they have architectural spore inside cell. That is, they try to build the basic interior structure of these cells, biological cells. When we talk about these proteins, then proteins are also called as workhorses of the cell. Why they are called workhorses of the cell? Because just like a horse that does lots of work, and proteins, they also do all the work. Like the information is transcribed, like it is placed in the DNA or RNA, but it is then transcribed in the form of proteins. And then these proteins, they can help to perform different functions, even starting from the chemical reactions, then protection, transport, movement, regulation, communication, and even structural features are also controlled through these proteins. One of the very important class of protein is enzyme here. And enzymes are basically, these are the protein compounds, or you can say the protein molecules that are used to catalyze the biological reactions. And these enzymes, basically what they do, that normally when we talk about metabolic reactions, then they need lots of energy that we call as activation energy. What is activation energy? Basically it is the normal, if you look at this diagram, then to convert reactants into the product, there is an energy barrier there. So this energy barrier is what we call activation energy. But in the absence of enzyme, there is a lot of energy needed to transform reactants into products. But when we use enzyme, then reactant can be converted into a product through the alternative route. That's why activation energy is lowered by using enzyme, and also the reaction rate is very it is enhanced by using enzyme. So enzymes are the type of protein that help control and manage cell metabolism by making chemical reaction happen more efficiently. So enzyme lower the activation energy needed for reactions to happen. There is another important function carried out by these proteins, that we know that the proteins, basically they are called as membrane proteins. These are the proteins that are part of, or you can say they can interact with biological membranes. So they can be of different types, like they can be used to transport certain materials into the cell and out of the cell too. And also there are certain enzymes present in the membranes, and they can use to convert different reactants into different molecules into the product, desired product. And then they can also act as a receptor molecules too. So there are different types of proteins, and they have different functions assigned to them. So these proteins, they can also they can relay signals between the cell's internal as well as internal and external environment. They can also transport, they can be transport protein, they can move molecules or ions across the membrane, or they can be enzymes as we have mentioned here, and they can be the cell adherent molecules that allow cell to identify each other and interact. Then here are some diverse function of these proteins. Just like we have nucleoproteins here. Nucleoproteins, basically they are a combination of nucleic acids and proteins together. And when we talk about nucleoproteins, then basically we have an example here like ribonucleoprotein. Ribonucleoprotein is a complex of ribonucleic acid and RNA binding protein, and these complexes, they play an important role in the number of important biological functions that include DNA replication, regulating gene expression, and also regulating the metabolism of RNA. So these nucleoproteins is it was just one example of ribonucleoprotein, but these nucleoproteins, they have various important functions for the living organisms. Even for the collagen, we say that collagen is one of the most abundant protein in human body. It is found in bones, muscles, skins, as well as in tendons. So these substances, they can hold the body together. So they give basically strength and structure. They are the it's a source of strength and structure for the body. And next comes the flagella, flagella. Flagella basically is a plural of flagellum, and flagellum is a hair type structure that are present on the outer surface of cell. These are used for the movement of microorganisms. So these are all like the flagella are also made up of protein. You can say that these are protein in nature. Similarly, the next protein we have here is elastin, or you can say there are also keratin proteins there. Keratin is basically the protein of males, or you can say it is also present in here. So they have their own roles in different they have own roles assigned to them. You can say elastin protein is there. As the name suggests, elastin is basically responsible for the elasticity. You can say basically it is present between the connective tissues, so allowing many tissues in the body to resume their shape after stretching or contracting. And then we have structural importance के बारे में हमें पहले भी बात हुई थी that actin is basically part of micro filaments that try to hold the shape of the cells, and also they help in the movement of the cells. And similarly, tubulin is the protein that is also important for the structure, and these proteins basically they form fibers on realization, and these actin is also in the form of fiber. Tubulin is also in the form of fiber. If you remember, tubulin is involved in the process of you can say that cell division basically. We had a little talk about enzymes, that enzymes are very important and they are made up of protein. You can say that they are protein in nature, and they are used to regulate different types of transformations in biological systems. They can be of different types, they can be metabolic enzyme, they can be digestive enzyme, as well as food enzymes are there. Then we have proteins that are responsible for the transport of different chemicals within cell and also across the cells, and then between the cells, you can say that. So they are often globular in nature, and these proteins they are tightly packed with polar side groups on the outside of the molecule. Why it has to be like that? Because polar side groups can attract other molecules, that they can link to the other molecules to be transported. And these include serum albumin. Basically, albumin is a protein that has that can transform different molecules, it can transform bilirubin, it can transport, you can say that, fatty acids, and also small sugar molecules, and these type of compounds can be transported by albumin, and this is mainly found in liver cells. And then myoglobin is basically a muscle protein, and this protein is basically responsible for the transport of oxygen, and it can also store oxygen in its cell. When we talk about hemoglobin, that is mainly present in the red blood cells, you can say that this is part of the blood is present in the human blood too. So in hemoglobin, basically it is help to transport oxygen, as well as it can attach itself to the it can help getting attached to carbon dioxide. Is an affinity for carbon dioxide too. So it can help in the transport of oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. And then we have hormones in here. Hormones are basically, these are the compounds that are mainly produced by certain enzymes, and these they are mainly produced by certain glands. So these hormones are basically they are produced in multicellular organisms and are transported by the circulatory system to target distant organs to regulate physiology as well as behavior of these organisms. And these hormones, they are mentioned here, like testosterone, estrogen is here, and then we have growth hormone is here, follicle stimulating hormone, thyroid hormone, melanocyte stimulating hormone, antidiuretic hormone, and prolactin. They have their own glands, and they are targeted on the particular place, and they have diverse functions in there. Like growth hormone is responsible for growth. How you can say testosterone is basically male hormone is there, and then these hormones like thyroid hormone is produced by the thyroid gland, and these hormones are very important, and they can stimulate, they can inhibit, and they can also help to induce or suppress certain functions in the blood. So hemoglobin we have discussed in the transport protein too, but hemoglobin itself is a very important protein. It has there is a little structure mentioned here for the hemoglobin. It has porphyrin rings, and then they have entangled iron present in it. It has 2 with 141 amino acids, 2 chains of amino acid with like 2 chains of proteins with 141 amino acids in there, and the remaining 2 with 146 amino acids, and a heme group we call it as like this heme group has porphyrin links with the iron present in there. So this hemoglobin has affinity for oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. Then we have myoglobin. Myoglobin, it contains 151 amino acids residue with heme group to bond to oxygen atom, and it performs function in muscle tissue as well as taking oxygen from hemoglobin in the blood. It can store and also it can carry oxygen. Then we have some other hormones like oxytocin, and these are are very small proteins, and many of them like these are hormones. And just like in case of oxytocin, it acts as a sex stimulator in females too, and also it can stimulate uterine contraction. And when we talk about vasopressin, it is also another hormone, and but its main function is antidiuretic, that it helps to conserve water excretion from the body, and it is mainly connected functions in connection with the kidneys. And these these proteins that are oxytocin as well as vasopressin, these both contain 9 amino acids in them. Similarly, insulin is another we have protein that regulates glucose metabolisms. It helps to break down glucose we have carbohydrates into glucose. And then the next protein under discussion is the antibodies. These are basically protein components of immune system. They have functions to bind antigens, and also their examples include gramicidin as tyrosidine and penicillin G are the peptides. When we talk about antibodies, basically they are protein in nature, but they are produced in body in response to germs. When they enter body, then our body has a defensive system or an immune system that tries to fight that germ, and it produces itself some proteins that can fight them, so that have structures like agonistic to these germs. So these antibodies try to bind antigens that are harmful for the body, and then we can have this is how our defensive mechanism works. The very next biologically important proteins are the plasma protein. One of them is albumin, and this one, why we call these albumin or globulin as plasma protein, because these are present in the plasma. And this albumin is basically mainly made in liver. It helps to keep the blood from leaking out of the blood vessel, and also it helps to transport materials, because as you may remember, we have discussed albumin in the transport proteins too. So it helps to carry molecules and medicines and other substances too, and it has important role for tissue growth and healing. Similarly, there is globulin. Globulin is made up of different proteins, that is alpha, beta and gamma types, and they have role in immunity, and it also determines chances of developing an infection. Keeping the discussion about biological importance of these proteins, we know that proteins are in every cell of the body. Our bodies need protein from the food we need to build and maintain bones, muscles and cells, even skin. So we get proteins in our diet from meat, dairy products, nuts and certain grains and beans. So these are basically the sources of protein from our diets. So proteins from meat and other animal products these are like said to be complete food. So these are very important because they can represent almost 10 to 20% of energy intake in animal and also in plant products. And This is why it is very important to take protein in a diet, because it is very essential to are very essential to provide building stone that are the amino acids. So to make good the tissue loss and to build up new tissues, tissue proteins after wasting illness. So we need proteins to for our healing, as well as to build up new tissues too, and also to make up for the lost tissues. We need proteins intake in our food. Similarly, supply they act as a amino acid supply for the synthesis of enzyme and proteinous hormones, and also these are needed for the synthesis of plasma protein. So it means that it is very important to take protein regularly in our diet, because our cells are mainly they have different types of protein, and they are helpful to regulate different functions in the living organisms. Then we have protein's role in the pharmaceuticals. Basically, protein-based drugs are the fastest growing cells class of drugs, and one of them is insulin. We know that insulin is not only produced in the body, but it can also be synthesized in the laboratory, and this protein is the first pharmaceutical protein produced using genetic engineering. Nowadays, due to high demand, it is produced by the cloned bacteria, that is E. coli, Escherichia coli. So these type of protein, this is insulin is only one example. There are many proteins that are used in the pharmaceuticals, and why we are placing this role in the biological significance, because still these proteins, they have importance in the biological system. These pharmaceuticals we are going to apply on the biological system. That's why it is very important. And here we are talking about the pharmaceutical role and the role of these medicinal proteins on biological system. So we say that these type of application, they include antibodies, vaccines, hormone, enzyme, as well as human serum albumins. These are all proteins, antibodies. They can be injected pharmaceutically, or you can say that they can be synthesized and they can be employed to body the living organisms. And vaccines are also one mean to help prepare the body against the incoming germs or different diseases. And then hormones and enzyme can be injected from the laboratory. And then we have human serum albumins too. But the question rises, why protein affects health? Because they reduces the risk of diseases such as heart diseases, cancer, as well as diabetes. So there are many different abundant sources of branched chain amino acids. So we have different amino acids. So what we do that we just like we have an example of whey protein. It contains amino acid cysteine. It can be used to make glutathione. So large amount of whey protein can increase the cellular glutathione level. So we have to look for the ways how we can change them or utilize them for our own objectives. So let's have a look at what is basically glutathione. Glutathione is an antioxidant that defends the body against free radical damage and some toxins, and basically it's a milk protein that reduces the risk of cancer in animals. So as we have discussed that whey protein, whey is a plant, whey protein health effects, that what it does that we can increase the production of glutathione by injecting certain like proteins in themselves. And this protein if its production is increased, that helps to defend the body with more like you can say that the help is increased, basically the protection is increased. Similarly, there are iron chelate protein. The structure is shown here. This type of iron chelate proteins, they are also used as medicine, and these are basically protein, like they are protein in nature, because they are like they have amino acid, they are built up of amino acid structures. And they are tumor markers here, like alpha fetoprotein, anaplastic lymphoma kinase. Then we have other few examples here. So tumor markers are basically, these are the protein in nature, and they are found in blood, urine, and also some body tissues. They can be elevated by the presence of one or more types of cancer. So these are basically these compounds, or you can say these proteins, they help to identify, they help to locate, and they help to detect a tumor present there. So they can also be used as a medicine in many cases. Right, there are also some very significant peptide families, and these peptide families are basically ribosomal peptides, and usually they have hormonal activities. They are produced within the cells, and from these cells they are not produced in their original form. They are produced as the propeptides or proproteins. And what are basically these propeptides or proteins? These are they are also we call them protein precursors. They are basically inactive protein or peptides. They can be turned into active form by post-translational modification, such as breaking off a piece of molecule or adding another molecule. So the name of the precursor of a protein is often prefixed by pro, just like we have pro collagen here, and then we also have pro insulin, and also there are other pro hormones are there. So these are like why it happens like that, because certain proteins, if they are produced at the from on one spot, and they have to go act as an to play their role in that place, but they are harmful for the cells around them. So they have to be present in the dormant form unless or until they are transferred to the place where their activity is needed. So they are insulin is produced in the proinsulin form unless and until it has to act as an insulin, or it is present at its target site. And basically these protein precursors are often used by an organism where the subsequent protein is potentially harmful but needs to be available on short notice or in large quantities. So we also have examples of similar action for enzymes. So for enzyme precursors, we call such molecules or chemicals as zymogens or proenzymes. Examples of enzymes of the digestive tract in humans are also available. And basically these are the peptide families here, and their examples are written here, they are antimicrobial peptides, they are tachykinin peptides, they are vasoactive intestinal peptides, and pancreatic polypeptide related peptides, and opioid peptides. And we shall see about these peptides on the next slides. Here are few of the examples of significant peptide families. These peptide families, as we have discussed before too, that they are produced as propeptides or proproteins, and these peptides, or you can say propeptides, they have very important roles in living organisms, and they're leading, if you talk about tachykinin peptides, and they are found in many animals ranging from amphibians to mammals, and these are one of the largest families of neuropeptides. And these they have their important role to induce contraction of blood tissues. One of the very important example of tachykinin peptides, it is casopitant. And the next example we have here is the vasoactive intestinal peptides. These vasoactive intestinal peptides, they are also called as secretin family, and they are also they are very important with respect to their role in the intestine or the pancreas. While we talk about the opioid peptides, these peptides act through opioid receptors. The name is given with respect to the opium because they have their role to activate certain, or you can say target certain neurons to transmit messages that primarily inhibit secondary system. They can induce many responses in them, just like pain perception. You can say they can also induce certain activation for certain you can say stimulants. And the examples are one of the important example is endorphin. Then we have, there are certain references, you can consult them for better understanding. As an assignment, I want you to tabulate important proteins and polypeptides name with their roles.